giving yourself permission to say woosah, take a break, maybe go talk to somebody about it, pray a little bit more than you are, or whatever it is. And then maybe you can look back on those past traumas that we all have. Like you said, childhood alone, everybody's childhood, they've got something. Everybody, I'm
Right.
convinced
Right.
everybody's got something in their childhood. And then, as life goes on, you're from whether it's losing a loved one or not having challenging experiences, there's always going to be things that if you don't handle it the right way, they may come back to haunt you. And so definitely it's so relatable. And more people need to hear that it may be unhealthy to throw yourself that much into the pursuit of things. But on the reverse, right? Quite possibly why your companies were so successful was your level of commitment and dedication. And oh, by the way, you're in a marriage where you're both invested in this thing. I couldn't imagine, like, my wife has not a lot to do with my business. Even when I was in the military, she was without a doubt my force multiplier. She was amazing at managing like the spouse networks and dealing with the
Mm.
community. And quite literally, when we would go into those spaces, I was known more as her husband than I was the base master chief, right? Which was just all, just a good thing for her. But whenever we would get too close to each other's swim lanes, there would be some conflict there. And so we learned how to kind of
Mm.
navigate not being in each other's areas. So how did you and your husband manage that? Were you guys like just completely aligned on this whole path? Because were you both putting in the 90-hour work
No,
weeks?
actually,
Oh, okay.
no. He was more one of those Vietnam veterans that came back and didn't have a great ability to be in a under someone else's authority, which is
Hmm.
kind of typical.
Yeah.
And so I was more of the provider while he did some writing and did some different things and kind of took care of those boys. But I want to make sure that I kind of tie in what happened between that and kind of where I am now, only because that Scientology was just the first cult. Yes. So, and I want to tie in why it is so important to process our pain and to do the hard work to whatever is left untended to, we do need to take the time to do that. And there's a really good reason why. I'm going to tell you in a minute here. So about 8 years into wine press publishing, I ended up signing a contract for a air quote pastor, and his wife turned out to be a wolf, and a wolf in sheep's clothing who knew
Okay.
how to talk the talk, but absolutely not even close to being genuine, a genuine believer. And so this is about 8 years into wine press publishing, about 8 years after the Lord kind of showed us that we have our own post-traumatic stress, we have our own healing that we need. And we actually, and I think I'm going to take a little detour here and say that the three wives, there were three of us, we went away to a cabin and just wanted to really kind of hear from God on this PTSD thing and how can we best minister to these wives and their families. And the scripture in Psalm 147, I heal the brokenhearted and bind up their wounds. And it was like it was neon on the page.